Rich CEO goes undercover as a broke customer. What this cashier did exposed everything. Before we get into this shocking story, tell us, have you ever witnessed bad customer service firsthand? Drop your story in the comments. And if you love eye-opening stories like these, hit that subscribe button because we bring you new ones every day. Ethan Carter steps through the glass doors of Cafe Prestige with his heart thumping, the sleek modern decor reflecting in his eyes as he glances around. He's never felt so tense walking into one of his own establishments, but today he's unrecognizable in worn jeans, scuffed sneakers, and a faded hoodie. It only takes 3 seconds for him to spot a sign that something is off. Near the cash register, a young woman in uniform is visibly shaking as she greets a haughty couple, offering them a bright smile that doesn't quite hide the strain in her eyes. This is Maya, the cashier on duty. The instant he sees her uneasy glance toward the manager's office, a chill slides down his spine. He's here to uncover the truth about employee treatment, and the swirling tension in the cafe tells him all he needs to know. Something here is deeply wrong. He purposely steps in line behind a few customers, his hands shoved in his pockets, pretending he has barely a dime to his name. Standing there, he listens to the hum of conversation. A few customers whisper about the manager, Logan, and how he rarely smiles except at high-spending patrons. Others just roll their eyes as though they're used to hostility. Ethan notices that whenever someone who appears well-off approaches, Logan and another associate are all politeness, but as soon as they turn to a teenager with a small budget or an older woman asking questions about the menu, their tone shifts to outright impatience. Already, Ethan's pulse flutters with indignation. This place is supposed to be the pinnacle of warmth and sophistication. He built it to be a sanctuary, not a source of dread. Yet here he is, feeling a wave of cold energy swirl through the air driven by a manager who seems more intent on boosting profits and pleasing VIP customers than treating employees or modest customers with decency. He edges closer to the front of the line, noticing that Maya's uniform looks a size too big, as if she was handed whatever was available without regard for her actual measurements. Her eyes flick nervously to the back, where Logan's office. Joe stands slightly ajar, revealing a glimpse of his stern face. Ethan can read the dynamic even before words are spoken. Maya is terrified to make a single misstep, to the point that she's holding her breath every time she hands out a receipt. The couple ahead of him, wearing crisp suits and looking every bit the high earners, orders with clipped voices. Maya forces a smile, clearly hoping to stay on Logan's good side. Ethan can almost taste the anxiety radiating from her. Then the manager himself strolls out from his office, scanning the cafe like a hawk searching for prey. He zeroes in on Maya, stepping behind her at the register. She clams up instantly, like a child bracing for punishment. The couple receives their order without incident, thanks to Maya's vigilance, but the moment they walk away, the manager crosses his arms and eyes Ethan's disheveled clothes. Is he actually buying anything? The manager hisses under his breath, just loud. Enough for Ethan to catch. Maya flushes and gives a small nod. Ethan reaches the register, smiling politely. He mumbles something about wanting the cheapest black coffee on the menu, fumbling for a few crumpled bills and coins in his pocket. Maya, trying to maintain a customer service smile, taps the screen, her voice trembling as she reads the total. She asks if he wants room for cream or sugar, doing her best to follow the cafe's standard procedure. Logan stands behind her, expression twisted with contempt at Ethan's obviously limited budget. When Ethan slides his coins across the counter, the manager lets out a derisive snort. If he can't pay the exact amount, we don't want his business, he mutters with a sneer. Maya flushes a deeper shade of pink, and without a word, she discreetly reaches into her pocket and tops off Ethan's payment with her own money to cover the gap. The gesture, so small yet so significant, makes Ethan's heart wrench. It's not about the extra change. He has plenty of money in reality. It's about the fact that Maya is scared enough to pay out of her own pocket just to prevent Logan from escalating the situation. Ethan is already furious. This is his cafe, an embodiment of his brand and vision, yet the atmosphere here is anything but welcoming for employees. He thanks Maya softly, taking the paper cup she slides over, her hand trembling. Logan scoffs, muttering something about worthless customers under his breath. Before stepping away from the counter, Ethan catches her eye, giving a brief conspiratorial nod as if to say, "I see you. I appreciate what you just did." She nods back, gratitude shining in her eyes, though overshadowed by a tremor of fear. Ethan takes a seat at a small table near the corner, close enough to watch the register and the general flow of the cafe. He sips the lukewarm coffee, ignoring its bitter taste, and observes. His plan was to remain unobtrusive, but it's impossible not to notice how every patron with brand-name attire or obvious wealth is greeted with a warm grin by Logan or whichever other employee is in earshot. But the moment an older man wearing a tattered jacket wanders in, you can see Logan stepping forward, poised to chase the man out, unless he's ordering quickly. Indeed, the newcomer approaches the menu board uncertainly, and Logan practically barrels toward him, asking if he plans to buy something or just gawk. The older man, obviously rattled, backs away and mumbles something about just looking before swiftly leaving. Ethan's blood boils. Is this how they've been chasing away folks who don't look affluent? Maya stands there, flinching at every interaction. The line is smaller now, but every so often the door opens to a new customer. Ethan catches the look of exhaustion on Maya's face when she glances at the clock, probably counting the minutes until her shift ends. He quietly wonders how many hours she's worked, if she's had a chance to eat, if she even gets breaks. In this toxic environment, the final straw in this early sequence of warnings comes when a timid teenager walks in, rummaging through her wallet. She must be short on cash because her face goes red as she checks the menu. Maya politely asks, "Would you like me to recommend something in your price range?" But before she can respond, Logan steps forward, pointing to the door. "If you can't figure it out, come back when you have enough to spend," he snaps. The teen, looking mortified, scurries back outside, wallet in hand. Maya starts to say something, but Logan shoots her a glare so icy it seems to freeze her words in her throat. Ethan sets down his coffee, heart pounding faster. Enough is enough, but he still needs to see more. He needs to confirm how far this mistreatment goes. He can't blow his cover yet, but inside he's appalled by this blatant disregard for basic kindness. He might have known there were issues, but he never expected the situation to be so openly cruel. He remains seated, resisting the urge to confront Logan immediately. There's a reason Ethan decided to come here undercover. If he storms in as the CEO right away, employees might clam up or shift their behavior out of fear. He wants them to know he's on their side, but he also wants the raw truth, unscripted and unfiltered. The tension in the room is thick as the clock ticks onward, the cafe's background music doing nothing to ease the atmosphere. Maya glances at her watch, then nervously at Logan, as if silently asking permission to take a break or at least a breath. The manager simply shakes his head. No words, just a disapproving glare. Ethan can practically feel the exhaustion wafting off this poor cashier. Finally, when the cafe quiets for a moment, Logan heads back to his office, and Maya sags against the counter in silent relief. Ethan finishes his coffee, planning his next step. There's more to investigate here, and he won't let it slide. He watches in silence for a few more minutes, noticing how each employee navigates their tasks with a mixture of caution and dread. One girl in the corner folds napkins and restocks utensils with robotic efficiency, as though she's been taught to minimize eye contact and conversation to avoid any friction with the manager. A barista in the back carefully loads the espresso machine, eyes flicking up every so often to check the corridor leading to Logan's office. The entire cafe staff looks like a group of jittery birds, always waiting for the hawk to swoop down. It's a far cry from the environment Ethan imagined when he launched Cafe Prestige with a mission statement that included treating employees like family. If only he had known that certain managers could poison an entire branch with relentless negativity. He stands, scraping his chair back quietly, discarding his coffee cup, and heads toward the exit, but not before catching Maya's eye one last time. She smiles sadly, appreciative of his respectful tone, even though she still thinks he's just another poor customer, barely affording a drink. Little does she know, he owns the entire chain and has more than enough resources to change her life in a heartbeat. As he steps out, Ethan is more determined than ever to see how deep this problem runs and to put a stop to it once and for all. Early the next day, Ethan returns to the cafe, still dressed in the same shabby clothes, but this time with a plan to immerse himself in the environment for a longer period. He slips in right after they open, when foot traffic is slow, and staff are just beginning their day. Maya is there again, yawning behind the register, her weary eyes revealing she probably didn't get enough sleep. She greets him with a polite nod, not remembering him immediately from the previous day, until he hands over a few of the same rumpled bills. She gives a small surprised smile, but the moment Logan appears, any warmth in her expression vanishes. Logan marches straight to the register, sees Ethan and snorts. "You again? Coffee?" Ethan nods, adding in a meek voice, "Just black coffee, whatever is cheapest, if that's okay." Logan scoffs. "Money is money, I guess," he says, glancing at Maya. She takes the hint and rings him up without a word. Ethan quietly counts out his change as Logan hovers, clearly making sure Maya doesn't slip up. It's the second day in a row of obvious tension, and Ethan suspects there's more to this story than just a bad boss. He notices how the employees avert their eyes whenever Logan walks by, as though any accidental glance could invite reprimand. Is the corporate culture at this branch so toxic that everyone's become conditioned to keep their heads down? The question stirs his conscience. If it's this bad in one location, how many others might be suffering from similar tyrants? He picks a table in the back corner this time, a vantage point, allowing him to see both the register and the seating area more comprehensively. As the minutes pass, early customers trickle in, a couple of college students, a mother with a small child, a businessman in a tailored suit. Each interaction with Logan or Maya offers a snapshot of this place's dysfunction. The businessman orders an expensive espresso and pastries. Logan is all smiles and courtesy for him, even offering a seat recommendation by the window for the best atmosphere. Then a college student in sweats steps up, and Logan's tone cools noticeably. "What do you want?" he asks flatly, barely hiding his disdain. The student fumbles, unsure of the menu, and Logan looks at his watch with exaggerated impatience. Maya jumps in, guiding the student through the options in a gentle tone, but Logan clicks his tongue in annoyance. Once again, Ethan feels the anger burn in his chest. He sips his drink, determined to see how employees handle the daily avalanche of microaggressions from their manager. It doesn't take long for the next red flag to wave. Logan scolds a new hire who just set out pastries, telling her the display is sloppy, then knocks them about to force her to rearrange everything. The humiliating lecture leaves the newbie red-faced and teary-eyed. Ethan sees Maya shoot the distraught employee a sympathetic glance. She wants to help, but is clearly terrified of crossing Logan. Sure enough, he notices Maya's concerned expression and narrows his eyes at her as if silently warning, "Don't even think about sticking your nose in." The dynamic is painfully clear. Logan rules through fear and no one dares oppose him. Ethan wonders how many other staff members have quit already. After all, in an economy where jobs are scarce, these employees might feel trapped. If they speak up, they risk losing their livelihood. He notes that Maya has a name tag that's slightly faded, suggesting she's been there a while, possibly among the longest-serving staff. Maybe she's endured months, if not years, of this managerial tyranny. His fury simmers. He wants to act, but he also wants to make sure he gathers enough information to hold Logan fully accountable. He can't let the manager twist events or shift blame. He needs to see Logan in his full, unedited cruelty. It doesn't take long for the manager to provide more evidence. A middle-aged man wearing tattered clothes comes in, clearly weary. He walks up to the counter and quietly asks if it's okay to just sit for a moment before ordering, explaining that he needs to find the few dollars he has. Maya nods sympathetically, but Logan strides over and barks, "If you're not ready to order, don't loiter. We run a business, not a charity." Ethan can almost hear a pin drop as every employee freezes. The man, embarrassed, says he'll just order a basic coffee in a moment. Logan shakes his head. "We have real customers coming in," he says with an icy finality, ushering the man out as if he's an intruder. Right there, in front of everyone, the manager has shown exactly how heartless he can be. Maya looks like she wants to say something, but she swallows it back, and so do the other employees. Fear is etched on their faces, yet also a hint of guilt. Ethan clenches his jaw, promising himself that Logan's reign is coming to an end sooner than he thinks. He's about to get up and leave when a sudden crash echoes from the kitchen. A stack of cups has toppled, and a young barista scrambles to pick them up. Logan charges in, demanding to know who caused the mess. The barista, stammering, admits it was her. She slipped. Logan seizes the moment to berate her, calling her clumsy and warning her that accidents cost us money. The barista tries to apologize, but Logan cuts her off with a sarcastic jab about how maybe she's too incompetent to work in a real cafe. The tension hangs heavy in the air. Ethan is on the verge of losing his composure. But again, he keeps his cool, reminding himself that the best way to deal with this bully is a public showdown. Let him be as awful as possible so there's no room for doubt. If Ethan confronts him too soon, the manager might try to spin a sob story or claim miscommunication. No, Ethan will gather the final proof first. He stands, empties his coffee cup, and strolls near the register, where Maya is now busily organizing receipts. She looks exhausted, with subtle bags under her eyes, but still musters a polite smile for anyone who approaches. As Ethan passes by, he quietly murmurs, "Thank you for yesterday." She seems confused for a split second, then recalls how she paid for his coffee. "I'm sorry about that," she whispers. "It shouldn't have happened." Her eyes flick to Logan's figure in the back. Ethan nods, returning to his humble persona, but behind his calm exterior, anger churns. This manager has turned one of his cherished cafes into a place of dread, and employees are paying with their emotional well-being. Stepping outside, Ethan resolves that tomorrow he'll stay for hours, maybe the entire day if need be. He wants to witness exactly how Logan handles lunchtime rushes, complaints, mistakes, or any situation that could reveal the depth of his cruelty. For now, Ethan's had a second dose of toxicity, and it's more than enough to confirm he must step in soon. Very soon. Morning sunlight filters through the windows of Café Prestige as Ethan slips inside for his third consecutive undercover visit. He's intentionally arrived just before the busiest hours, dressed in the same threadbare clothes to maintain his broke persona. Maya, at the register, spots him and offers a small, tentative smile, possibly relieved to see a familiar face who hasn't treated her poorly. Ethan quickly scans the room. Logan is standing near the back, phone in hand, a scowl plastered on his face as he mutters instructions to someone on the other end of the line. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, as if everyone is bracing for another round of verbal attacks. Employees hustle in preparation for the rush. The pastry display is being replenished, the espresso machine prepped for multiple back-to-back orders, and a cluster of staff confers in hushed tones. Ethan notices that despite the tension, these employees move with a sense of camaraderie. It's like they've bonded under oppression, supporting each other with small gestures, a reassuring pat on the arm, a shared roll of the eyes when Logan isn't looking. He wonders if they suspect he might be more than what he seems. Probably not. He's just another broke customer after all. Ethan steps into the short line. Maya meets his eye but says nothing until it's his turn. He mumbles that he'd like the same basic coffee. She nods, not charging him extra this time as he hands over exact change. Still, he senses her unease. When she tries to ring him up, the machine momentarily malfunctions, displaying an error message. Logan strides over, practically shoving Maya aside to fix it. "You can't even run a register?" he snaps. Maya flushes. He fiddles with the device, the error message vanishes, and he shoots her a look that screams, "Don't do that again." Then, with a dismissive wave, he returns to his phone call. Ethan collects his coffee and retreats to a small corner table, determined to observe the entire day unfold. Soon, customers begin flooding in, forming a line that stretches to the door. It's prime time, and stress intensifies. Maya handles orders as best she can, but every little delay or question from a customer draws Logan's disapproving glare. When a parent with 2 fussy kids tries to figure out which muffin is nut-free, Logan barges in, telling them to pick something or move aside. The parent looks taken aback, and Maya tries to soften the blow with a forced smile, but the damage is done. The kids grow restless, and the parent ushers them out, muttering something about never coming back. Logan just shrugs, completely unapologetic. A few tables away, a woman in a crisp business suit complains that her cappuccino isn't hot enough. A junior barista named Sophia rushes to remake it, but she's visibly flustered. She accidentally uses decaf, and the customer notices, complaining again. Logan marches over, demands to know what's happening, and upon learning Sophia messed up, he rips into her in front of everyone. "In this cafe, we don't have room for second chances," he hisses, ignoring the fact that the entire floor can hear him. Sophia is near tears as he threatens to dock her pay for the wasted materials. Ethan, watching this, feels his palms clench so tightly his nails bite into his skin. It's an outrageous policy, and one that definitely wasn't approved by corporate. Employees should never be forced to pay out of their own pockets for honest mistakes. But Logan justifies everything by citing company standards, fully confident nobody will challenge him. The other employees exchange fearful glances, but remain silent. Maya keeps her eyes glued to the screen, ringing up orders, trying not to let her face show her horror. As the rush continues, a frail homeless man slips inside, head bowed, asking if he can purchase just a cup of water or maybe the cheapest item on the menu. Maya is about to answer when Logan appears seemingly out of thin air, ordering the man to leave if he doesn't have enough money. The man tries to explain he has a bit of change and he just wants something warm to drink, but Logan brushes him off. Ethan sets his coffee aside, feeling the rage bubble up yet again. Before he can intervene, Maya discreetly offers the man a tiny paper cup of water. Logan sees it and nearly loses his temper. "We don't do freebies here," he snarls, snatching the cup away and spilling water on the floor. The man, mortified, shuffles out, muttering apologies. The whole cafe has gone quiet for a heartbeat, and in that hush Ethan locks eyes with Maya. He can see the heartbreak on her face, the shame of being complicit in such cruelty, but what can she do if her manager wields so much power? Minutes after that incident, an argument breaks out at a corner table. A customer is upset that their sandwich has onions when they specifically asked for none. The staff tries to rectify the mistake, but the customer is already irate. Logan steps in, shoulders squared. Instead of trying to calm the customer, he chooses to belittle them, implying that they probably didn't speak clearly. The customer, furious, insists they were explicit in their order. Maya hurries over, offering to replace the sandwich. It's at her own cost if necessary, but Logan cuts her off, telling her to focus on the register. "This is manager business," he snaps. The confrontation escalates, voices raising, and the once cozy cafe turns into a stage for public conflict. Eventually, the customer storms out, sandwich untouched. Maya stands there, fists clenched, biting her lip in frustration. Ethan is seething inside. How many more examples does he need? The manager has displayed enough arrogance and outright nastiness to sink an entire operation. He's determined that by the end of this day, the truth will be laid bare. But he wants the moment to be unforgettable, a real turning of the tide. He'll see how Logan handles a final straw, something that forces him to show his true colors in front of a larger crowd. He remains in his corner, observing how the employees scurry, around like frightened mice. Logan issues orders with a sneer, micromanaging every tiny detail. If a customer asks for a receipt and the printer jams, that's Maya's fault. If a barista accidentally froths too much milk, that's grounds for a lecture. If the phone rings, for a reservation request, Logan answers. And if it doesn't immediately turn into a large, lucrative booking, he slams the phone down, complaining about time wasters. Ethan wonders how a man like this was ever promoted. Did he fake his qualifications? Did he have a reference from someone? Or is he simply one of those power-hungry individuals who put on a good face for corporate, only to unleash tyranny once given authority? In any case, the time has come to gather tangible proof, something he can't refute or excuse as a misunderstanding. Ethan discreetly takes out his phone. He's careful to look like a bored customer scrolling through social media, but he's actually activating the camera. He wants recorded evidence of Logan's behavior, enough to confront him openly, right here on the floor in front of employees and unsuspecting customers alike. No way will Logan worm out of accountability once Ethan's done. He notices Maya, glancing at him nervously, perhaps sensing that he's doing something risky. She can't know his true identity yet, but maybe she senses that this scruffy stranger isn't just here for coffee. Just as the lunch rush begins to wane, Ethan sees his golden opportunity. A middle-aged woman, obviously unhappy about something, beckons Logan over to her table. She complains about a mistake in her salad. Logan listens for a moment, then huffs that it's not his fault she didn't read the menu carefully. The woman, insulted, stands up and points out that the menu never mentioned olives, which she hates. Logan says that's just how the salad comes, and if she doesn't like it, she should pick them out. The woman's face flushes with anger, and she demands to speak to someone higher up. Logan smirks, crossing his arms. "I am the highest authority here," he declares. "If you have a problem, go somewhere else." Ethan's phone camera is rolling. The woman slams some money on the table and storms out. Logan just shrugs, turning away with a condescending glance at Maya, as if to say, "See what I have to deal with?" Meanwhile, Ethan sits there, the footage safely stored on his device, and wonders if Logan's cruelty has any limits at all. Soon, he tells himself, everyone will know who he really is, and the tables will turn in a way Logan never saw coming. An hour later, the cafe has quieted. Most of the lunch crowd has come and gone, leaving a lull in foot traffic. Logan disappeared into his office for a brief phone call, but returns just as a flustered young waitress named Carla tries to handle a request from a customer who wants a discount because the soup is too salty. Carla explains that the cafe doesn't typically offer such discounts, but she tries to be sympathetic. The customer insists anyway, raising their voice, and Logan storms over. Instead of diffusing the situation, he practically snarls at both Carla and the customer, something along the lines of, "If you don't like it, eat somewhere else. We're not here to coddle you." The customer, slack-jawed, gathers their belongings and leaves, but not without letting loose a few choice words about the cafe's terrible service. Carla looks like she's about to cry. Logan whirls on her, accusing her of fueling the argument by not shutting it down quickly enough. Carla apologizes repeatedly, saying she only wanted to help. Logan waves her off dismissively, grumbling that any more screw-ups will come out of her paycheck. Ethan quietly stands up, moves near the pastry display and records the heated exchange. This raw footage will be crucial when he finally unmasks himself. Ethan's fingers curl around his phone with a sense of grim satisfaction, anticipating the moment of reveal. He waits, sipping another cheap coffee, letting the tension build. He watches employees glance at the clock as if counting down to shifts. End. Maya's shift in particular seems to stretch endlessly. She occasionally massages her lower back when she thinks no one's looking. Ethan wonders if she ever got that break she needed. Likely not. The man recognizes that Maya is the key here. She's the one who has shown compassion not only to him, when he was short on change, but also to other struggling customers. She's the moral center of this cafe and probably the hardest worker. He can't let her suffer under Logan any longer. A few more customers trickle in, and Maya greets them calmly, while Logan looms in the background, presumably waiting for someone to make a tiny error so he can jump all over them. An elderly man appears, checking the menu carefully, and softly asks for a small hot tea. Maya rings him up gently, explaining the selection of teas. The man fumbles with his wallet, accidentally dropping a few coins that roll away. She steps out from behind the counter to help pick them up, but Logan barks, "Stay where you are, you don't leave the register mid-transaction." Maya hesitates, torn between the impulse to assist this old man and the threat from her manager. After a beat, another employee helps retrieve the coins, but the moment's awkwardness is palpable. The elderly man mutters a thank you, pays, and steps aside. Logan glares at Maya, as if she's committed a mortal sin. The cashier's cheeks flush, and she ducks her head in submission. Ethan stands off to the side, filming discreetly as he contemplates when to make his move. He wants it to happen in front of multiple witnesses, customers, staff, and ideally someone with enough clout to ensure the story can't be hushed up. Still, he's cautious. The tension is at a boil, but perhaps it needs just one more spark to overflow into a confrontation that can't be ignored. That spark arrives in the form of a sweaty man in an old jacket who steps up to the counter and explains that he's lost his wallet. He humbly asks if there's any way to get a glass of water. Maya looks at Logan, clearly knowing what the manager's reaction will be. Logan snaps, "We're not a charity. You want water, find a faucet or pay like everyone else." The man tries to say it's just water, but Logan raises his voice. "You see a sign that says, 'Free water for freeloaders'?" "I don't." "Now." "Hout!" The man's face crumples in humiliation. He shuffles away, and Ethan's rage finally breaks its dam. He steps forward, phone in hand, speaking loudly enough for the entire cafe to hear. "Are you serious right now? You're turning someone away for water?" Logan turns, spots Ethan and sneers, "Mind your own business. You can't even afford a decent coffee, so maybe keep your mouth shut." A hush falls over the cafe. Employees pause mid-task. Customers freeze in confusion, and even Maya looks panicked, her eyes wide as if saying, "Don't provoke him." But Ethan can't hold back anymore. This is the moment he's waited for. He's seen enough. His heart is pounding, adrenaline surging, but he keeps his voice steady. "Corporate would want to know how you treat people who walk in here," he says. Logan scoffs, crossing his arms. "Corporate doesn't care about anything but profits. You think some random busybody is going to scare me? Get out before I have security toss you out." Ethan smirks, pulling the phone slightly higher. He calls out to the employees, loud enough for all to hear. Does corporate really not care how a manager treats staff or customers? A few employees exchange nervous looks. No one dares speak, but the tension is as thick as soup. Logan seems to sense something is off about this situation. Why is a random customer challenging him so boldly, and why is he recording? "Put that phone away," Logan demands, stepping toward Ethan. Instead, Ethan raises it higher. "I don't think so," he says. "Not until people see what's been going on here." Logan snarls, then lunges to grab the device, but Ethan pivots out of reach. Tables scrape, drinks slosh, and customers shuffle back, alarmed at the confrontation unfolding in the middle of the cafe. Maya looks like she's about to faint from stress. Some of the staff inch closer, perhaps hoping to see Logan finally. "So get the comeuppance he's due." The manager, however, stands his ground, fists clenched. "You want to cause a scene? Fine, I'll have you blacklisted from every cafe prestige in the city." Ethan's grin sharpens. "That would be quite a trick," he retorts, turning the camera on himself for a moment. "Because I'm a little more involved with cafe prestige than you think." The staff murmur in confusion, some leaning forward. Logan's scowl flickers. "What are you talking about, idiot?" Ethan meets Logan's glare. "I'm Ethan Carter," he says, his voice clear and unwavering, "CEO and founder of Cafe Prestige." For an instant, the world seems to pause. Logan's eyes widen, and the employees collectively gasp. A ripple of astonished realization sweeps the room. "No way," someone whispers. "He can't be—" Maya looks like she might faint. The entire cafe is now pinned on this confrontation, hearts thumping in collective shock. Logan, for once, is speechless. Ethan, still holding his phone, captures every second of the manager's dawning horror. The hush fractures as a handful of employees clap hands over their mouths or exchange wide-eyed stares. The reveal is out, and no one, least of all Logan, can dodge the consequences of what's been happening here. Logan's eyes dart around, seeking a lifeline. A few customers stare at him with expressions ranging from shock to outright disgust. Employees look simultaneously relieved and terrified. Relieved because maybe justice is finally at hand, terrified because they don't know what happens next. For the first time since Ethan walked in here, Logan appears vulnerable, uncertain how to proceed. "You can't just walk in here, pretending," he sputters, trying to regain control. "Yes, I can," Ethan replies coolly, camera still, rolling. "It's my company and I have every right to know how customers and employees are treated." Without warning, Logan lunges again, this time not just for the phone, but for Ethan's arm, trying to yank it down. A few gasps echo from the onlookers. Ethan jerks away, adrenaline surging, and in a flash a couple of employees step forward to block Logan. It's as if they finally realize they outnumber him. This tyrant who's kept them under his thumb is just a single man, and now the CEO is on their side. Logan backs off, breathing heavily, glaring at everyone. "I can explain," he starts, his tone shifting from rage to desperation. "I was just following company policy. These employees weren't performing adequately, and I had to maintain standards." Ethan lifts a brow, not bothering to hide his disgust. "That's the story you're going with? Because I've recorded enough to show how you speak to customers, how you bully employees, how you turn away those who can't afford premium prices. That's not policy. That's cruelty." A stir runs through the staff. One of them, the new waitress Carla, hesitantly steps forward. "He forced me to pay for a customer's meal if I messed it up," she says in a trembling voice. Another employee, the barista Sophia, chimes in. "He told me I'd be fired if I wasted a single coffee shot by accident." Word by word, the floodgates open. They all start recounting the harsh policies and humiliations they've suffered under Logan's rule. Ethan keeps the camera raised, capturing these testimonies. The manager's face flushes red as he spits. They're lying. They just can't handle discipline. But it's clear from the sheer number of voices that Logan's attempt to discredit them won't fly. Then Maya, whose voice Ethan has waited to hear, speaks up softly. "He told me I had to work unpaid overtime," she confesses, her eyes welling with tears. "He threatened to replace me if I didn't stay after hours, even though I had no ride home." The hush that descends is profound, broken only by a few shocked whispers. Maya looks at Ethan with a pleading gaze, as if apologizing for not exposing this sooner. Logan blurts, "She volunteered," but Maya shakes her head. "I'm a single mother," she whispers. "I need this job, and he knew it. He used it against me." A wave of empathy surges through the onlookers, and Ethan's rage spikes. He lowers the phone slightly, shifting from filming to confrontation. "You threatened a single mother so you could squeeze out free labor," he demands, voice rising. "What kind of person does that?" Logan tries to laugh off the accusation, but the sound is hollow. "That's how businesses stay profitable," he says, then realizes the futility of such a statement in front of the company's founder and a crowd of appalled witnesses. A few customers who stuck around look at each other in disbelief, some filming the scene themselves now. Ethan takes a moment to steady himself. "I created Cafe Prestige to offer quality products and a comfortable atmosphere," he says, voice ringing across the hushed cafe. "Not to treat employees like disposable cogs or shame customers who don't meet some elitist standard. If I'd known any of this was happening, I would have ended it a long time ago." The employees watch him with a mix of hope and caution. They're relieved the truth is out, but they're also unsure what form Ethan's response will take. Logan shifts his stance, chest heaving, trying to salvage what little dignity he has left. "All right, I made a few tough calls, but that's management," he says, forcing bravado. "If the staff are too weak, that's not my fault. I did what I had to." Ethan stares at him, stunned by the audacity. "No," he says firmly. "You did what no decent human being should ever do. You abused your position to bully staff and humiliate vulnerable customers. You're finished here." Logan stammers, "Wait, you can't..." But Ethan cuts him off, raising a hand for silence. "I can. I'm the CEO," he replies, each word dripping with finality. "You are hereby fired, effective immediately." A wave of gasps ripples through the cafe, followed by a fraught silence. Then, one by one, employees break into murmurs of relief. A couple of them even applaud softly. Logan's jaw drops. He glances around, hoping someone will come to his defense. None do. For a second, he looks like he might lash out physically, but the employees stand firmly between him and Ethan, forming an impromptu barrier. The manager hisses, "You'll regret this," but his bravado is spent. His face contorts in a mix of rage and fear. With trembling hands, he snatches up his personal belongings from behind the counter. His eyes dart about for any shred of dignity or chance to spin the story. Finding none, he storms toward the exit, shoulders squared as if he wants to maintain some facade of pride. As he leaves, customers jeer or turn away in disgust, and staff simply exhale in collective relief. The door swings shut behind Logan, leaving Ethan standing in the middle of the cafe, employees and customers alike staring at him. For a moment there's a stunned lull. Then Carla speaks up, voice quivering with emotion. "Thank you," she says. Sophia nods in agreement, tears glistening in her eyes. I thought nobody would ever believe us, she admits. Maya stands by the register, her shoulders finally sagging in an exhalation of pent-up tension. She looks at Ethan with a silent mixture of gratitude and awe. Ethan inhales, letting the adrenaline ebb, and surveys the group. We're going to make things right, he promises them. That includes fair wages, no more forced overtime, and a safe, respectful environment. A swell of hope seems to radiate from the staff, some of them beginning to talk quietly, exchanging relieved smiles. Even the customers who remain look on with approval, a few nodding or clapping gently. The toxic darkness that hovered over this place seems to have lifted, replaced by a cautious optimism that maybe finally they can breathe easier. Ethan steps forward to Maya, pulling her aside gently. I'm sorry you went through this, he says softly. Nobody should be scared to work or forced to stay extra hours without pay. Maya nods, tears threatening to spill from her eyes, but she manages a small smile of relief. She gestures at the other employees, many of whom are equally shaken, but visibly relieved. I stayed for them, she admits. We stuck together because we had to, it's all we could do. Ethan gives her a small, understanding nod. He's seen enough to know that while one branch may have been a hive of toxicity, these people are genuine, hard-working employees, and they deserve better. With Logan gone, the environment might finally shift in a positive direction. The camera on Ethan's phone is still running, capturing the aftershock of the firing. As Ethan ends the recording, he looks around at the shaken but hopeful staff and knows the real work begins now, repairing morale, ensuring no one else follows in Logan's footsteps, and making the cafe a place that aligns with the values he set forth from day one. Ethan stands in the cafe, the hush after Logan's departure steadily replaced by the buzzing conversation of customers and employees. The tension in the air dissolves, replaced by a rush of relief so potent it's nearly tangible. Maya wipes at her eyes, Carla and Sophia move toward her, and they share a quiet, heartfelt group hug behind the counter. A few onlooking customers applaud softly, while others gather their coats and bags, drifting out with the promise that they'll return under better management. Ethan feels an immense weight lifting from his chest. He's fired Logan in a dramatic, public fashion, ensuring the staff saw that the owner does care. But what now? The employees are looking to him for reassurance, for guidance. He steps behind the register, something he's never done as a CEO in casual clothes, and addresses them directly. Things will be different, he says, projecting calm sincerity. There will be a thorough review and everyone here will get a chance to share their experiences. No retaliation, no punishment, just honesty. If there are wages owed, you'll get them. If you need time off, we'll work it out. The days of working under fear are over. A murmur of thanks ripples through the staff. Carla timidly raises her hand as if unsure she has the right to speak freely. Ethan offers a warm nod, encouraging her. She steps forward and confesses, I need money for classes I'm taking. Logan forced me to pay for mistakes, so I never had enough to save. Ethan's heart aches at the revelation. Not only will we reimburse you for that, he promises, but we'll also make sure that never happens again to anyone. Carla's eyes glisten with gratitude. Sophia, still looking shaken, asks, what about references? He threatened to blacklist us if we left. Ethan's expression softens. You'll all get solid references from the company if you perform your duties well. No one will be blacklisted. A sense of liberation echoes through the room. Slowly the staff's eyes lose that haunted look. They exchange glances of relief, as if waking from a nightmare. With Logan gone, it's like they've collectively discovered they can stand upright again. Maya, still behind the register, looks overwhelmed. There's a bitter sweetness in her eyes, a release of months, if not longer, of pent-up stress. I don't even know what to say, she murmurs. Say whatever you want, Ethan replies gently, because you don't have to fear him anymore. She closes her eyes briefly, exhaling. Thank you, she whispers, gratitude cracking through the remnants of her anxiety. She meets Ethan's gaze, and for a moment, the entire cafe seems to pause. It's a delicate, powerful exchange, a promise that her future and the future of the staff might finally be bright. One of the lingering customers, a middle-aged woman who witnessed the confrontation, steps up to Ethan. "I have to say I'm impressed," she says. "I've never seen a boss walk in disguised like that and then take charge so quickly." Ethan smiles politely. "I wanted to see the truth, and I'm sorry it was so terrible for everyone." The woman pats his shoulder. "You did the right thing. I'll definitely keep coming here. It's a great place when it's run with respect." A small chorus of agreement arises from the few customers still milling about. Ethan thanks them, relieved to see at least some measure of goodwill remains for Café Prestige. The day's not over, though. Some deliveries arrive and employees hustle to receive them. Ethan offers a hand despite their protests that he doesn't need to. "It's okay," he insists. "Let me help." He lugs a heavy box of supplies to the storage area, while Carla and Sophia reorganize the pastry counters that Logan disrupted earlier. Meanwhile, Maya systematically checks the register records, ensuring that any forced deductions for mistakes can be identified and reversed. All around them, the vibe shifts from a near-military environment of fear to a more cooperative, relaxed atmosphere. Questions fill the air. Do we have a manager now? Who will do the schedule? Is the pay rate changing? Ethan can't solve every issue this instant, but he's determined to reassure them that better policies are on the way. "I'll assign a temporary manager who shares our company values," he says. "As for schedules and pay, we'll be transparent. You'll know exactly what you're getting and why." As the afternoon progresses, a few more customers enter, some noticing the subdued excitement among the staff. Maya still rings them up with her gentle politeness, but now there's a hint of genuine warmth that was previously clouded by anxiety. Carla passes out pastries with a friendly smile. Even the barista Sophia finds a moment to banter with a regular customer, a luxury they couldn't afford under Logan's watchful glare. Ethan steps outside for a brief moment, needing a breath of fresh air. The city street bustles with people, and he wonders how many other cafes or businesses might be suffering the same toxic environment under incompetent managers. He resolves to conduct a thorough audit of his other locations to ensure no one else in his company is going through something similar. For now, though, the problem at this specific branch is on its way to being resolved. He steps back inside, eyeing the cafe with new perspective. It feels lighter, brighter, as if the building itself is exhaling after holding its breath for too long. Toward the late afternoon, Maya approaches him hesitantly. "I was supposed to leave 2 hours ago," she confesses, "but Logan never let me clock out." Ethan checks the schedule. Sure enough, her shift should have ended ages ago. "Go home," he insists kindly. "You've worked enough, and you need rest." Maya's face reflects relief, mingled with a cautious gratitude. "Are you sure?" Ethan nods emphatically. "Absolutely. I'll cover for you if necessary. I might not be the best barista, but I can handle the register if we get a rush." She gives him a look that says she can't quite believe her luck. It's a simple gesture, letting an employee leave at the end of her scheduled time, but it signifies a monumental shift from Logan's oppressive regime. The moment feels almost surreal to her. She retrieves her things, thanks Ethan once more, and slowly makes her way out, occasionally glancing over her shoulder as if half expecting Logan to materialize and demand she clock back in. When she finally steps through the door, a small relieved smile graces her face, and Ethan feels a surge of satisfaction. As the evening winds down, the cafe's tempo slows considerably. The remaining employees tidy up, share stories about their worst encounters with Logan, and wonder what changes might be in store. Ethan encourages them to speak freely, explaining that he values their input. For some, it's the first time they've been asked for their opinions in this workplace, and their faces light up with a cautious optimism. "If we could get better training tools, that would help a lot," Carla suggests. Sophia nods. "And more flexible scheduling, so we don't always feel forced to pick up shifts we can't handle." Ethan takes mental notes of every suggestion, determined to transform these insights into actionable policies. They deserve to know they're heard. As the final customers trickle out, Ethan thanks them for stopping by, and a few voice how refreshing It is to see a top executive genuinely involved in day-to-day operations. Once the doors are locked for closing, Ethan gathers the staff still on hand. They stand in a loose circle near the center of the cafe, the hum of the refrigeration units the only background noise. "Thank you for everything you did today," he tells them. "I know it's been tough, but you stuck it out. I'm proud of each of you for keeping this cafe running under impossible conditions." Carla sniffles, wiping away an emotional tear, and Sophia nods, the corners of her mouth lifting in a fragile smile. They're exhausted but visibly heartened. "We'll come back tomorrow?" Carla asks, as though unsure if there'll be some radical change overnight. Ethan smiles. "Yes, please," he answers. "You have a business to help me run, and this time it'll be a place you can be proud of." With that, the employees gather their belongings, exchanging a few last words of encouragement. They head out the door one by one, the tension that once haunted their steps replaced by tentative hope. Ethan stands alone for a moment in the quiet cafe, letting the events of the day settle in. He recalls Logan's stunned face as he was fired, the shock in the eyes of staff, the relief that followed. It was a dramatic climax, but also a necessary one. He takes a deep breath, inhaling the lingering aroma of coffee and pastries, and thinks about how to move forward. There's paperwork to file, corporate protocols to follow, but most importantly, hearts and minds to mend. And not just in this branch. He'll have to be vigilant across his entire network of cafes. If one Logan existed, there could be others. Stepping out into the cool evening, he flicks off the lights, leaving only a dim glow from the emergency bulbs. Tomorrow, he'll return to guide his employees through the next steps. Tonight, he'll review the footage, finalize Logan's termination, and ensure the staff's concerns are addressed. For now, though, he feels a sense of completion. His undercover mission succeeded. The toxic manager is gone. The staff have their dignity back, and he has a renewed sense of purpose about what cafe prestige should truly stand for. The morning sun streams through the cafe windows as Ethan arrives at opening time, greeted by the sight of Carla flipping the sign from closed to open. A few staff are already there, sipping coffee before their shifts officially begin. Maya, looking slightly more rested, beams when she sees Ethan. It's a stark contrast from her guarded demeanor under Logan's rule. She steps over and quietly thanks him again, her voice trembling with gratitude. He offers a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "No more thanks needed, just keep being great at what you do." She blushes slightly and returns to the register, settling into a routine that no longer includes scanning for a disapproving glare from the manager's office. Ethan takes a seat in a corner, ironically the same spot where he first observed the cafe's dysfunction. Now the energy is different. The staff bustle about with cautious optimism. Carla hums to herself while restocking pastries. Sophia chats with a customer about a new latte flavor, and Maya efficiently handles transactions, cracking the occasional smile. Even the customers seem more at ease, likely sensing the shift in atmosphere. A short while later, a middle-aged man wearing a well-tailored suit steps inside. He looks around uncertainly, eventually approaching Ethan, who stands to greet him. This is Ryan, the interim manager Ethan has decided to bring in, a longtime employee from another branch, known for his fairness and respect toward staff. They shake hands, and Ethan introduces him to the team, explaining that Ryan will oversee daily operations until they find a permanent replacement for Logan. The staff listen intently, eyes flicking between Ryan and Ethan, seeking reassurance that this won't just be another tyrant. Ryan delivers a calm, welcoming speech. "I'm here to support you, not micromanage. If there are issues, you can come to me. We'll work it out together." The employees' guarded faces melt into relief, some even smiling. Ethan can't help but feel a swell of pride. This is exactly the culture he wanted to foster from the beginning. He steps aside, letting Ryan integrate with the staff, answer their questions, and begin establishing trust. Within minutes, the difference is night and day. Customers come in and are greeted warmly. Mistakes are handled with a calm apology and a quick fix instead of a furious tirade. A mother with a young child who's fussy over the menu finds the staff helpful and patient. There's no tension, no fear of condemnation from some lurking figure in the back. Amid all this positivity, Ethan notices the arrival of an older man in slightly shabby clothes, the kind of customer Logan would have thrown out on sight. The man hesitates by the entrance, looking around nervously as if expecting to be berated. Maya catches his eye, waves him over, and offers him a menu. He timidly asks if it's all right if he just orders a small tea. Maya smiles. Of course. Sit anywhere you like. The man seems taken aback by her kindness, but eventually settles into a corner booth. Within minutes, Sophia brings him a steaming mug, giving him an extra napkin, just in case. There's no sign of hostility or contempt. Ethan watches the exchange with deep satisfaction, remembering how drastically different things were under Logan's reign of fear. This is the cafe he envisioned from the start, a place where everyone can feel comfortable, regardless of budget or appearance. Just when the day seems peaceful, the door opens with a jingle and in walks Logan. The atmosphere shifts instantly, staff members going rigid, their faces betraying a flash of alarm. Ethan, who was in the midst of discussing scheduling with Ryan, stands straighter. The ex-manager casts an angry glare around the room, clearly annoyed by the fact that everyone is functioning happily without him. For a moment, nobody moves. Then Carla steps to the side as if to protect the others. Ethan places a reassuring hand on her shoulder, silently telling her he's got this. Logan stomps up to him, voice dripping with scorn. So it's true. You replaced me? He spits. Ethan regards him calmly. You were fired for cause, he replies. You know exactly why. Logan's gaze sweeps the cafe, noticing the new manager talking to the staff. You can't do this, he hisses through clenched teeth. I made this place profitable. I enforced discipline. His voice rises, drawing the attention of several patrons. Some begin recording on their phones, having witnessed or heard about yesterday's drama. Ryan steps forward, expression firm. Please leave. You have no business here anymore. Logan scoffs at Ryan, then turns to Ethan with a menacing look. You'll regret humiliating me. This is far from over, he snarls. Ethan doesn't flinch. Humiliating you? That's on you. You humiliated yourself by mistreating people. Logan's face reddens. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, he threatens. But the crowd behind him, employees, customers, seem unconcerned by his words. They know the truth. They've experienced it firsthand or seen it on video. Left with no support, Logan stomps out the door again, slamming it so hard it rattles. The glass. The tension slowly dissipates, replaced by a shared understanding that his threats are empty. Carla exhales shakily, relieved. Maya, who stepped back when he entered, regains her composure, returning to the register. Ryan assures everyone that Logan no longer has any power over them. Ethan realizes he needs to finalize any legalities, but that can wait until later. For now, the employees have a right to work in peace without fear. The rest of the day unfolds smoothly. Ryan conducts a brief meeting with the staff, introducing a new approach: open communication, constructive feedback and mutual respect. Ethan observes from the sidelines, stepping in occasionally to clarify company policies and emphasize that employees will be paid for every minute they work. Maya asks if she can have a moment to call her babysitter since she has extra time now, and Ryan immediately approves. She looks amazed, as if a simple courtesy like that is a foreign concept. Even Carla, who was so timid under Logan's watch, jokes that she might actually learn to enjoy her job now. Customers come and go, leaving positive comments at the register. Some even mention having seen a video clip online. Apparently, a bystander recorded Logan's meltdown and posted it on social media. It's quickly going viral, and people are praising the CEO for stepping in. Ethan acknowledges their compliments politely, but inside, he's just relieved to see his workplace healing. Late in the afternoon, the homeless man who was turned away the day before appears at the door. He stands there as if unsure whether he's welcome. Maya spots him and waves him in without hesitation, offering him a warm beverage. He fumbles with coins, but she assures him it's taken care of, courtesy of the cafe. Ryan nods approvingly, not a trace of Logan's cruelty in sight. The man thanks them profusely, settling into a chair and sipping quietly. This small act of humanity underlines the transformation. Ethan can't help but smile at how drastically the vibe has changed in just 24 hours. As closing time approaches, the employees gather again, a new spark in their eyes. Ethan thanks them for another successful day, especially under the stress of a managerial transition. Ryan updates them on the next day's schedule, ensuring no one is overworked or forced into unpaid overtime. Maya collects her purse, a grateful grin replacing the tired expression that used to be her norm. Carla waves goodbye to everyone, no longer fearful that a single misstep could cost her job or half her paycheck. When the last of the staff heads out, Ethan remains behind briefly with Ryan, who's double-checking the inventory and locking up. They share a satisfied nod, both recognizing that the hardest part, ousting a tyrant, restoring trust, is behind them. Ethan can see fresh possibilities for this branch. If the staff is this motivated after a single day of respectful treatment, imagine what they can achieve in the long run. And as for Logan's threats, Ethan isn't worried. The evidence of wrongdoing is substantial. The employees would back him up in any dispute. If anything, Ethan's only regret is not discovering the problem sooner. Yet, as he steps out into the evening air, he takes solace in knowing he did finally discover it and he acted. Sometimes that's all anyone can do. Recognize the problem, confront it head-on, and rebuild. Looking at the lit-up sign of Café Prestige, Ethan feels a renewed sense of purpose. This cafe will stand as a testament to integrity, empathy, and quality. He's going to make sure of it no matter what. The following morning dawns with a sense of celebration in the air. Word has spread about the showdown at Café Prestige. People are calling it a real-life David and Goliath story, except in this case David is the staff, and Goliath is an overbearing manager, and the CEO turned out to be on David's side. Ethan arrives early, greeted by enthusiastic staff who share bits of positive gossip. "We've had so many calls about job applications," Carla exclaims, looking more animated than ever. Sophia nods. "I heard customers say they came in just to support a company that stands up for workers." Ethan smiles. He has to remind them to maintain professionalism, but he's hardly about to dampen their spirit. This energy is precisely what he always wanted, a vibrant, kind, people-focused environment. Midday arrives, bringing a healthy lunch crowd. Maya is in top form, greeting patrons with genuine warmth. She no longer checks the clock anxiously or hesitates to help a customer. Instead, she moves with confidence, trusting that no one is going to berate her for minor mistakes or force her to stay late without pay. Carla, still a little shy, has found a new sense of belonging. She jokes with Sophia as they arrange pastries, occasionally glancing up to say hi to new arrivals. More than a few customers ask if they can speak to the undercover CEO, having heard rumors or seen viral clips. Ethan politely declines the spotlight, wanting the focus to remain on the staff's good work. He does talk to a local reporter who drops by, explaining that respect and fairness are non-negotiable values at Café Prestige, and that he's working to ensure all branches reflect this stance. The staff seem proud to be part of a company that openly supports them, instead of exploiting them. Just as the rush begins to slow, a figure appears at the door. The same homeless man from before, looking hesitant but slightly hopeful. Maya beckons him in, asking if he'd like to try the new house blend coffee. He nods, shyly offering a few coins. Maya waves her hand dismissively, insisting it's on the house again. This time he stands a little taller as he accepts, perhaps sensing genuine kindness rather than pity. He settles into a seat, sipping with a gentle smile. A few minutes later, Ryan emerges with a small bag containing leftover muffins, still fresh but unsold. He hands them to the man, who nearly tears up at the gesture. The staff watch, smiling, proud to see their cafe truly serving the community instead of turning people away. It's a far cry from the aggression Logan displayed. That memory feels almost like a bad dream now, replaced by a calmer, healthier reality. Around this time, a phone call comes in from corporate headquarters, one of Ethan's senior executives wanting to confirm the rumor that Ethan single-handedly fired a manager on site. Ethan steps aside to take the call, explaining the situation in detail. There's initial surprise on the other end, but also validation. "Honestly," the executive says, We've had complaints about Logan for months, but never enough hard evidence to act decisively. We're relieved you settled it. Ethan breathes a sigh of relief himself. This cafe is going to turn a new leaf, he assures them. I'll make sure the team has all the support they need. Once the call ends, Ethan looks around to see Ryan deftly handling a dispute between a customer and the barista about whether a drink was prepared correctly. Instead of barking orders, Ryan listens to both sides, apologizes for the inconvenience, and quickly whips up a replacement. The customer leaves satisfied, and the barista isn't left feeling incompetent or shamed. It's a small moment, but it speaks volumes. By late afternoon, customers have drifted out, leaving a serene hush in the cafe. The staff organizes for the evening, restocking supplies and wiping down tables. Carla hums a tune under her breath as she polishes a display case. Sophia chats with Maya about weekend plans, something they probably never felt comfortable discussing openly before. Ethan pulls Ryan aside, discussing the possibility of Maya taking on additional responsibilities, perhaps even moving up to a supervisory role. Ryan agrees that Maya is conscientious, kind, and knowledgeable. She's exactly the type of person we want leading a team, Ryan says. She just needs a bit of training and confidence. Ethan nods, determined to make it happen. He also plans to pay close attention to Carla's aspirations, Sophia's barista skills, and anyone else who shows promise. Promotions should be based on merit and empathy, not on favoritism or intimidation tactics. Before they close for the day, a small group of customers come in. A family of 4, the parents clearly exhausted, the kids restless. Maya greets them with a tired but sincere smile, taking their order carefully, making sure the kids have everything they need. When the father asks if the cafe is hiring, Ethan overhears. The father sheepishly explains he lost his job recently and is exploring options. Ryan steps forward, saying they are indeed looking for good people, and invites him to fill out an application. The father seems relieved, thanking Ryan for the opportunity. It's another subtle reminder of the difference between welcoming people and shutting them out. Under Logan, such a request might have been met with ridicule or scorn. As the day winds down, the staff gather once more near the register to settle tips and clock out. The tip jar is fuller than usual, perhaps an indication that customers sense the improved atmosphere. Carla jokes that they're going to become millionaires if this keeps up, eliciting laughs from the group. Sophia starts dividing tips equally and no one protests. Maya takes a few for the house fund that pays for small staff perks, an idea Ethan previously introduced, but which Logan had apparently ignored. Ryan double-checks the final receipts, all in good order. It's a smooth, amicable process, nothing like the tension-filled closings they endured just days ago. Ethan steps forward and thanks everyone. He acknowledges that the last few days were tumultuous, but he's proud of how they've adapted. He also reiterates that if any future issues arise, they can come directly to him, Ryan, or anyone in corporate without fear of retribution. The staff nod, each taking comfort in this new openness. Finally, they lock up, flipping the sign to closed. Maya heads out, shoulders relaxed, a far cry from the trembling exhaustion that once consumed her. Carla follows, excitedly talking about an evening class she can now afford to attend. Sophia sets off with a small grin, planning to use her tip money for a birthday gift for her little brother. Ryan gathers a few documents to review at home, ensuring the transition to new management goes smoothly. Ethan lingers a moment longer, shutting the lights, scanning the empty cafe as a wave of serenity washes over him. He can almost see an image of Logan prowling these floors, barking orders, but that's in the past now. The future belongs to these hard-working, compassionate employees who make every cup of coffee and every customer interaction shine. With a final nod to himself, he steps out the door, letting it click shut behind him. The streetlights flicker, on, illuminating the path forward, one that's free of tyranny and filled with the promise of genuine human connection. Ethan returns the following morning, determined to finalize the last details of this branch's renewal. To his pleasant surprise, even though he arrives earlier than usual, he finds Maya and a few other staff members already inside, chatting amicably while they prepare for opening. It's been less than a week since Logan's dramatic firing, yet The transformation is undeniable. Ethan stands in the doorway, taking in the soft hum of laughter, the gentle clink of dishware, the cheerful greetings. Once invisible under a layer of dread, the cafe's inviting spirit now radiates naturally from the employees themselves. Maya notices him and waves him in, pointing to a fresh pot of coffee, her way of saying, "Help yourself." He smiles, stepping behind the counter to pour a cup, still wearing the casual clothes that served as his undercover disguise, though everyone here now knows his true identity. Ryan arrives a moment later, nodding at Ethan in greeting. He announces the team that corporate has approved some updated staffing guidelines and that wage adjustments will be reflected in their next paychecks. A small cheer rises at the news, especially from those who were forced to pay out of pocket for mistakes. Carla, her eyes shining, steps forward to hug Ryan, then quickly apologizes if that's unprofessional. Ryan laughs, telling her that a show of gratitude is never unprofessional in this environment. Sophia claps her hands together, giddy that she no longer has to worry about pay being docked for every slight error. The mood is festive, charged with renewed hope. As they open the doors to the public, the changes bear fruit almost immediately. A steady stream of customers trickles in, some of them apparently drawn by the recent viral stories praising the cafe's ethical stance. A few curious faces peer around, as if half expecting to see the undercover CEO in action. Ethan remains discreet, though, preferring to let the spotlight fall on Maya and her colleagues. They run the place with impressive coordination. Carla replenishes the pastry case, Sophia expertly crafts latte art, and Maya handles the register with her gentle but efficient manner. Ryan floats around, assisting wherever needed, offering encouragement and gentle reminders instead of barking orders. The entire operation flows like a well-practiced ensemble, each member supporting the others. Occasionally, Ethan interacts with customers who recognize him from the viral videos. They thank him for standing up for employees, praising his approach. He remains humble, redirecting credit to the staff who kept everything afloat even before he intervened. Word has it that other branches of Cafe Prestige are hearing about the changes, prompting them to review their own management practices. Ethan's phone buzzes with texts from colleagues praising his approach or sending him tips about potential Logans at other locations. He's already planning a systematic audit. If this fiasco taught him anything, it's that a single, toxic individual can derail the entire vision of a company. Midday, a new face appears, a woman in a clean polo shirt, eyes bright with ambition. She asks if there's a manager available because she'd like to apply for a position. Ryan and Ethan exchange glances, both smiling. They invite her to fill out an application on the spot, and Maya chats with her about what working here is like, now that it's changed for the better. The applicant's surprise is evident, as Maya openly describes how employees are treated with respect, how flexible schedules are arranged, and how mistakes are addressed compassionately. "That's exactly the kind of environment I'm looking for," the woman says, excited. It's a subtle but profound moment. The cafe is drawing in talent who might have otherwise avoided a place with a bad reputation. Now, it's becoming a coveted workplace for those who value mutual respect and fairness. The day rolls on with minimal issues, just the occasional confusion about an order or a shortage of a particular pastry. Each small hiccup is handled calmly. No panic, no tantrums, no humiliations. Ethan notices the staff handle a rushed lunch, crowd with remarkable efficiency, even stepping in to help each other without waiting for direction. When a new employee, still learning the ropes, drops a cup of latte, Sophia calmly hands her a towel and helps her clean up, turning the incident into a quick lesson instead of an embarrassing scolding. Maya jokes that the cafe's floor might smell even better after a latte spill, eliciting a chuckle. Customers observe this friendly, can-do spirit, and many leave bigger tips than usual, smiling at the staff as they depart. Later in the afternoon, Ethan quietly reviews the numbers with Ryan in the back office. Despite what Logan claimed, the cafe is still profitable, even with more lenient policies. In fact, sales have slightly increased, likely a result of boosted morale and a friendlier atmosphere. Ryan remarks that an environment of fear might push staff to work robotically, but it kills creativity and genuine customer engagement, which are crucial for a place like Cafe Prestige. Ethan nods, reaffirming his commitment to the strategy of valuing people first. They finish the meeting and step back onto the floor, where a few customers remain. Maya is talking softly with a young mother about the best pastry options for her picky toddler. Carla is restocking the coffee bean display, humming that same tune. Sophia is wiping tables, occasionally exchanging friendly banter with a regular customer who's reading a newspaper. It all feels right, as if the cafe is finally living up to its original mission statement. Just before closing, a soft knock on the door surprises everyone. They're officially closed, but Ethan peeks out to see who's there. To his astonishment, it's the older homeless man who'd been turned away so many times under Logan's watch. He stands outside, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers, obviously plucked from somewhere nearby. Ethan opens the door, letting him step inside. The man shyly extends the flowers, looking around at the staff. "I just wanted to say thank you," he mutters. "You all treated me real nice. Gave me coffee and muffins when I had hardly anything." Maya, Carla, and Sophia gather near, touched by the gesture. He sets the flowers on the counter and, with a somewhat trembling voice, adds, I found a little job. Things are." Looking up, the staff exchange warm smiles, congratulating him. Ethan steps forward, shaking the man's hand. "I'm glad to hear it," he says genuinely. "You're always welcome here." The man nods, tears welling in his eyes, then quietly slips back outside, leaving behind the bouquet that might not look like much, but carries a profound message of gratitude and kindness. In that moment, a hush settles over the cafe. Maya picks up the flowers, tears shining in her own eyes. Sophia steps closer, gently brushing her arm in solidarity. Carla murmurs, "That's so sweet." Even Ryan, who's normally composed, looks touched. Ethan stands there, letting the wave of emotion wash over him. This, he thinks, is what it's all about. People connecting, lives intersecting, and kindness shared. The staff gather around the bouquet, each silently reflecting on how different things could have been if Logan were still here. No one says it aloud, but they all feel the same sense of relief and renewed purpose. They're not just selling coffee, they're making a difference, one respectful interaction at a time. Ethan clears his throat softly. "I think we should keep these flowers here, right on the counter," he suggests. "A reminder of what we've accomplished and why we do what we do." The others nod in agreement. They close up for the night with light hearts. The once hostile environment has been replaced by camaraderie and genuine care. As they flip off the lights, Ethan lingers a final time in the doorway, soaking in the changed energy. Maya and the others gather their things, exchanging tired but content smiles, already making plans for the next day. Ryan locks the door, the bouquet of wildflowers visible through the glass in the dim interior light. In the stillness of the street, Ethan contemplates how just a few days ago, despair reigned within those walls. Now there's a real sense of hope and dignity. He steps away, letting the door shut with a satisfying click. If this story shocked you, imagine how many workers go through this every day. If you believe in treating people with respect, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it.